Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull has made a controversial captain's call, refusing to nominate Kevin Rudd to be the next United Nations Secretary-General. He says the former Prime Minister isn't suited to the position, but declined to explain why.
He was damned if he did and damned if he didn't. And in the end, he was damned when he didn't.
The government will not be nominating any person for the office of Secretary-General of the United Nations. Do you have some questions?
There were plenty but not many answers after a divided cabinet left it to Malcolm Turnbull to make a captain's call.
There is a fundamental threshold point, and it is this. Do I, as Prime Minister, believe that Mr Rudd is well suited for that role? My considered judgment is that he is not. This is no disparagement of Mr Rudd.
Before Mr Turnbull fronted the media, Kevin Rudd flew to Sydney to seek a meeting. The Prime Minister, though, said there was no opportunity and told him his decision. In a statement, Mr Rudd thanked Julie Bishop and other ministers for their support, saying it was a pity the government had not seen fit to back him.
I've explained to him the reasons why. I don't want to go into them here today.
It's a slap in the face for Julie Bishop, his Liberal deputy, and a win for Conservative Liberals.
The Prime Minister is not able to assert his authority in the Cabinet to bring the nasties into line. The right-wing extremists in the Liberal Party have got the Prime Minister on a short leash.
That is a political analysis that I reject.
Nor was it, he says, about party politics. But Liberals like Erica Betts and Cory Bernardi were delighted.
He was a narcissist, a megalomaniac, unfit for the job, and someone even called him a psychopath. I don't know how in any good conscience we could refer that person as a suitable candidate.
For Kevin Rudd, for now at least, it's the end of a dream, but maybe a continuing nightmare for Malcolm Turnbull. Lane Kelcutt, 9 News.
And Nine's political editor Laurie Oates has more on Kevin Rudd's reaction to being snubbed.
Late this afternoon, Kevin Rudd released copies of 3 letters he'd sent to Mr Turnbull. The first is a formal request that the government nominate him for the UN job. What's significant is the date, April the 4th. That leaves the Prime Minister open to a charge of misleading Parliament because he claimed a month later that Mr Rudd's candidacy was not a live issue at that stage. The second letter, in early May, reveals that Mr Turnbull told Mr Rudd then he didn't support nominating him and the request would be rejected if it went to Cabinet. Mr Rudd goes on to list times and places where he says Mr Turnbull led him to believe there would be government support. He says on one occasion Mr Turnbull said the government would be mad not to back him. In other words, he claims the Prime Minister led him on, encouraging him to lobby overseas leaders in the belief he had government support. And the third letter, sent last night, is a request for a meeting. Mr Rudd flew to Sydney this morning, hoping for a chance to talk before a final decision was made. But he was still at the airport when he got the Turnbull phone call, and it was brutal. The PM said, "In my judgment, you have neither the interpersonal skills or the temperament to be a UN Secretary-General." It kills Mr Rudd's candidacy stone dead. But the decision to veto Mr Rudd's UN ambition will add to the perception that Mr Turnbull still feels the need to pamper and appease the Conservative wing of his party. And it means the Prime Minister rolled his own deputy, Foreign Minister Julie Bishop, who argued strongly for the Rudd nomination. I doubt that she's very impressed.